Hi, René here. In my previous video, you could witness the giant step my stereo setup made by swapping the JD's monoblocks for the Plinius A300. However, I did not yet put all my cards on the table because I wanted to talk about my second upgrade in a separate video. Today I would like to show you why the sound of my vinyl collection made a stellar improvement as well. The Plinius clearly lifted the performance of the built-in phono stage in the JDs, but only to a degree. You often hear people say it is better to buy devices from the same brand because they are matched to complete one another and would therefore guarantee flawless collaboration. Not so with JDs. The JA30 downgraded the performance of the built-in phono stage. But I don't want to dwell in minor differences and rather concentrate on the quantum leaps. Without this device, the upgrade would have remained restricted mainly to the rendering of CDs. The solution was easy. I only had to forget about the built-in JD's phono stage and replace it with an external Phono Preamplifier. Here it is, the Audia Flight from Italy. At first glance you can see that the power supply is in a separate box, a wise and common solution with most upscale devices. With a width of 1 foot plus a little more than 4 inches for the power supply, the device has a footprint of 16.5 inches, but I think there should be a little clearance in between to avoid the transfer of vibrations and electric radiation from the transformers. The substantial depth of 12.5 inches indicates that this is a standalone device and not just an accessory or add-on, and claims a shelf of its own in the rack. The impressive satinated aluminium faceplate with an even thicker lower part accommodates 5 elegantly recessed push buttons. The side edges are nicely beveled. All these features give evidence of the typically Italian love for detail in design. Not to forget the brand logo, a pair of wings backlit in blue, which is not only a gimmick, but signals standby operation by slowly pulsating, which might be disturbing for some people, but thank God remains blue when the device is fully on. The LED cannot be dimmed or turned off completely. The push buttons are not likely to be activated very often, except for the power button on the left. Some people might leave the device on permanently and thus avoid the warm-up phase. Power on, input selector if you have connected 2 turntables or tone arms. 10 dB gain, which not many owners will need in regard to the high 64 dB gain for MC. Mono for specialists, and the subsonic filter just in case somebody needs it. And where is the impedance selector? Unfortunately, the selector is hidden at the back of the device behind this small plate. It can easily be removed, but when you don't have the space to approach and open it from behind, you need to turn the whole unit around, which is quite inconvenient with a 2-part over 10 kilogram device. The procedure is imposed on customers who might have bought a Project Phono Box S3, which costs $6,000 less and offers you 100% front control, including output gain adjustment in 4 steps, which the Audia Flight does not support at all. But let's be fair. If you prefer the superior sound of the Audia Flight, over convenience, there is no choice. Now I have turned the device around because the three most interesting details can be seen here. Let me talk about the positive features first. One is the fact that you can connect two turntables side by side. You can switch between them with the button on the front panel, which I have already mentioned. A blue LED will light up when the second pair of RCAs is in use. The standard configuration will provide one MM module and one MC module, but thankfully you have the option to order two MC modules instead. The other one is the fact that you have RCA outputs but also XLR outputs, truly balanced outputs. My JD's JP30 is a poor man's device, or rather a miser company's product that offers only RCA inputs, so I personally cannot use this great possibility. The third feature is the drawback. When you remove this plate here, you can see there is no impedance selector. You have to use old-fashioned jumpers. For some values, you have to insert up to 3 jumpers side by side, which is impossible to perform with your fingers. If you happen to need 100 or 980 ohms, you are lucky because you only need a single jumper. My example shows the 100 ohm position. The old-fashioned solution has been deprecated by all reviewers and certainly most users, especially customers who like to try different cartridges very often find it a tedious nuisance. Those who buy once and listen for years screw the panel back on and simply enjoy their vinyl collection. For the technically interested viewers, here are 2 photos which expose the details inside. When I lumped the integrated phono stage of the JP30 and the standalone Project Phono Box S3 together, this is only because of the similar performance level, not by design and brand aspiration. As soon as we look at the price tags, the juxtaposition turns into a calamity for the €13,000 pre and a surprising commendation for the €350 device. JD's certainly has assessed a few cents more for its Phono Pre and would not sell it for €350 separately. They apparently calculated another €2,000 for the stainless and gold-plated faceplate, but this does not improve the sound really audibly. These remarks were just some food for thought. The real purpose of the video is to show how much more of the music we can tickle out with an upmarket Phono Pre before we cross the border into the land of totally unaffordable, state-of-the-art and price-no-object devices. In this respect, the following listening samples are just meant to be indicators and cannot replace a thorough and detailed listening comparison. Let's dive into the music and listen to what it exposes about the devices. With pop music, you never know how the recorded sound was or was supposed to come out after the mix, so I'm skipping on this, but I'd like to talk about the precision with which the music is rendered. First of all, I noticed the problem inherent to all JD's devices, the tendency to atomize the sound in order to make it more sparkling, but thereby sacrificing clarity. Many details disappear behind this perfume vapor. For example, the accordion is sectionally lost, and the singer is pestered by swarms of microscopic sound particles and can therefore not be pinpointed. Each plucking of a bass string sounds like a blow with a concrete ball on a concrete floor with the JDs, while the AF phono makes it sound elastic like a rubber ball, which results in a happily jumping bass melody that grabs your feet and wants to make you dance. Sometimes the AF helps you sort out the single strings of a chord when the JDs or the Project only show you the chord only as a lump. And last but not least, the presentation by the Italian Pre is overall area. Chuck Mangione, Children of Sanchez. Let me begin with the title By on Phase 4. JDs and Project take it easy and present the trumpet clear but with a lack of pressure and radiance. The guitar sounds too soft with missing emphasis. The orchestra is a dull blanket which partly muffles the soloists. The Audia Flight clearly proved that there is a lot of spice in this music. It's not elevator jazz, it has some guts. It has a dynamic structure. Where the majority of mediocre phono stages paint a picture with soft hills, unable to pump enough power into the peaks so that the landscape is flattened out. The French would call it a laissez-faire attitude. Using the AF, you can literally feel the relaxing effect when the almost over-strenuously blown trumpet hands the lead over to the saxophone, and the orchestra supports the effect by sending peaceful waves which flush the soloists even more impressively into the spotlight, reminding the listener that we have to visualize the performance in a spacious hall. From the following track, the finale, I'm only discussing the aggressive introduction. With JD's or Project, the drums go fuzzy to a degree that not even the Plinius can counteract, and if I had two of them, it would not solve the problem either, because a signal that does not arrive cannot be amplified. The Audia Flight delivers a really terrifying rumble, and high above the drums, in an even more menacing terrace, the brass group fires off a staccato that has an impact like the storms of doomsday. Death Scene is the second track on Phase 3. It is a breathtaking piece for guitar and cello. You can almost feel the strength of the fingertips nailing the strings down to the guitar bridges and the explosive plucking which mercilessly creates ear-piercing acoustic flashes. The endless cantilena of the cello rises from a hell of heartbreaking sadness into painful heights. A short orchestral swelling symbolizes an outcry or maybe final salvation. Really a miniature piece of art which, up to this presentation, I had always mistaken for a nice duet for guitar and cello. Lakmé by Leo Delibes. The Audia Flight has an iron grip on the positioning of the singers and the orchestral effects, like a standing tsunami wave, contrary to the spume effect of the competition. Choir and orchestral arrangements are more distinct, like the details of a relief. The Italian device gives singers a space of their own. They do not sound like the fragments of a puzzle, like a single violin within a group of violins. Each one has a confined area, like each hole in a piece of Swiss cheese. None can claim the space of another. Only sometimes they might make an exception for singing a duet or a trio. Alborada del Gracioso. With this kind of music there is no more kidding oneself. While the other phono stages tend to mitigate the dynamics, the AF makes each and every little peak sound like pistols and cannons. My recommendation is easy and straightforward. Owners of an apartment or terraced house can save a lot of money by buying a mediocre Phono Pre. If you are lucky enough to have a detached house, you can consider taking the Audia Flight, provided you regularly take your heart pills. The Audia Flight will never refrain from trying to surprise you. What is it that distinguishes the Audia Flight from others? Its contagious exuberance, its controlled explosivity. It has more of a sparkler than a candle. It is like a dog that was not outside all day and then near the evening its master stands up and grabs the leash. You know how the story goes on. Let me simply put it like this: dazzling dynamics. Furthermore, very decent 3D depth and soundstage. One more strong point is bass. The Audia Flight seems to be an absolutely worthy partner for the Plinius in regard to the lower registers. Of course, when money is no subject, there is always something better, and a happy few may aspire to an SR basis exclusive or even a bolder 2108 for $50,000, but that's way out of my reach, and some of you may even blame me for going beyond the price class of a phono box and ask me, is it reasonable to waste your hard-earned money for something like an Audia Flight? The answer is the same as always. If you have the money and if you want to squeeze out the full potential of your vinyl collection, yes. But the rest of your setup has to be at the same level, otherwise you will not get the full benefit. Sorry for the platitude. Whatever phono stage you are using, thank you for watching my presentation. Cheers.